Welcome to the second last episode of the inaugural B2M2 podcast. Can't believe it's been so long since we've started doing this. We're down to the final three. I'm Michael Hoad, joined by co-host Mitchell Machtinger. The end is in sight, Mitch.
This went by really fast. The season's been sort of a roller coaster one in terms of entertainment and watchability, and it's all wrapping up sort of almost as we expected it to.
Yeah, pretty predictable season. I guess the only thing that would really throw a wrench in the summer would be if Victoria ends up taking home the prize. Otherwise, I don't know. Cody would be a little bit of a surprise, but I don't know. I wouldn't be too shocked if he won. Anyway, so we'll pick things up with the rewind. So, after the rewind is announced, the house guests go back out to the backyard to compete once again in that farming seed shovel competition. Frankie makes it known to everyone he wants the week to play out exactly as it did last week during his reign, and everyone is on board with that, or so they tell him to his face. So the competition continues, and it's actually Cody and Caleb who seem to be in the lead for this one. Cody was actually down to his final two balls at one point, and then they dropped off the shovel, so we had to restart. Caleb ends up taking it. And does this mean his new nickname is Beast Mode Farmer?
He does like to wear overalls, so maybe.
So after the competition, Derek, Cody, and Caleb break off and celebrate in the fire room. And Frankie is concerned about Caleb's nomination. But Derek assures Frankie that he's pretty sure Beast Mode's going to make the same nomination. The same events will unfold. So Frankie approaches Caleb and says he wants to be the one to sit next to him in the final two. Caleb says that he doesn't want to make Cody sit on the block again. He wants to give him a break from the block. He was just up last week. And after this, Caleb is reluctant to put up Frankie, and he's worried that if he does nominate Frankie, it's going to light a fire under this guy, and he's going to compete even harder.
Yeah, Caleb's, as we've seen, he's a really loyal guy, so he sort of wants to make it fair by putting up Derek because he's sort of been the only one that's never been on the block, and Cody and Frankie have. So Caleb wants to make sure that there's an even playing field, and that everybody in the alliance, I guess, is an equal.
Absolutely. And we find out that act between Victoria and Derek is still going on. Are you surprised by that?
Yeah, I am. I mean, they have to, right? This was sort of the one implication of the rewind week, that they have to not talk anymore. But I think after this past week, that it's just they're just gonna sort of end it and just go back to how they were before.
Probably. And interesting thing Cody mentioned briefly, he thought that Frankie threw the HOH competition. Do you think that's remotely possible?
No. Frankie has made it clear that he thinks he's the biggest threat in the house and that he needs to keep himself safe in every way possible.
Yeah, he definitely had to keep winning if he wanted to stay in the game. So Derek sort of gets wind that he might be the one going on the block because he had never been up, but then he uses good old-fashioned logic to go talk to Caleb, and Caleb is just putty in his hands. Derek says, if you don't put Frankie up and you put Cody and Victoria, if Frankie wins veto, pulls down Victoria, now guess what? Either Cody or Derek's gone. So Caleb sort of realizes this and changes his mind, but Derek does volunteer to go up if Frankie wins the veto. On to the first luxury competition of the summer. Before it starts, Cody can finally take off that dino suit. I think it's gone for good this time. For this competition, the jury members come back again. This is the second time they've been back in now. And they just start wreaking havoc on the house.
That was awful. They poured like syrup and like hot sauce everywhere. And then later in the competition, they just destroyed the house even more. The whole, we'll get into the competition in like a second, but the whole thing reminded me of the first veto competition in Big Brother 8, where the 6 people had to hide a veto symbol somewhere in the house, and then whoever's veto symbol was found last won the power of veto. And the one thing I remember from that is that the house got destroyed, like the beds and everyone's clothes were everywhere, and that Danny Donato ended up winning because she hid her symbol in the bucket of slop that nobody would have checked. So imagine if someone just took the whole bucket of slop and just dumped it on the floor or something.
That was devastating. I would have been so pissed if I was in the house. So for this competition, the real house guests had to pick a jury member to bet on, and whoever won the competition would win, what was it, $5,000 for them and $5,000 for the person that bet on them. So Frankie bets on Zach. No surprise there. Zanky is rekindled. Derek goes with Donnie, Team America. Victoria takes Hayden. Great bet because I think Hayden was the favorite to win. Cody bets on Nicole and Caleb on Jocasta. Interesting, no one betted on Christine.
Yeah, but if you had to pick one of those who they wouldn't pick, it would be Christine.
Jocasta?
There's something about Christine that we obviously don't know that like they just don't like.
And in the first person eliminated in the challenge was Christine. Jocasta took her down. So
yeah,
there's still the animosity festering in the jury house. So at the end of the competition, it's down to Hayden and Nicole. And Hayden grabs the chip and he's about to drop it. Well, it was a tease, but he's about to drop it in his own slot to eliminate himself so that Nicole can win. But Nicole comes out and talks sense into him and he puts it in Nicole's slot. And Hayden wins the $5,000, as does Victoria. So Victoria is now guaranteed money. This is devastating news.
Yeah, good for Victoria. She won a competition like she did in the veto. She didn't actually win it. Someone else won it for her. So there you go. I don't know. Did Victoria ever win a Battle of the Block?
No. Oh yeah, she did with Brittany, right? The very first one, the pouring.
Oh, yeah. So it was all downhill from there.
She actually is a competition beast. She won a Battle of the Block, that default veto, and now this one,
this default win.
Queen of the default. Okay,
she's the last woman standing for a reason.
Back to the actual game. There are more pleas from Frankie to Caleb, but in the end, Caleb does nominate Victoria and Frankie. His speech was solid.
I liked it. Great use of props.
Yeah, he says, Frankie, you're my pink flamingo, and he pulls out a pawn from the chessboard upstairs and says, Frankie, I need you to be my pawn this week, and just puts the pawn down on the table authoritatively. Great speech. I don't know if Frankie bought it, but great speech. On to Tuesday's episode. I'm all out of whack with the new day format. In the previously, highlight of my week, I think, was when the dude who does the previously voice says, Ariana's brother thinks he has a major problem. And I chuckled about that. Pretty funny. Anyways, after the nomination ceremony, Frankie feels completely betrayed by Caleb. And Caleb justifies the decision by saying Cody was just on the block. That's understandable. Then says Derek didn't get a chance to play in either of the competitions, so he's safe this week. I don't know.
Yeah, these past 2 weeks we've seen Caleb sort of spill the beans a lot, and he's lucky that he's in the position he is now with so few numbers left, because if this happened earlier in the season, then I think they would have got him out ages ago, because they're obviously struggling to be able to trust him now.
And speaking of that, Derek and Cody wanted to keep it quiet that Frankie is the actual target, just in case Caleb slips up and tells Frankie. And that actually ends up happening. Caleb says that another reason Frankie's on the block is because of the possibility of Derek being next to Cody. He doesn't fully trust him to get rid of Victoria. And Frankie is just devastated by this. He says he feels blindsided because he's shown his loyalty over and over. Cody and Derek stumble onto this conversation, and this just gets the hitman even more upset with Caleb. So now Frankie does know he's the target. So knowing this, and knowing that the veto competition is going to be the same format as the last one, Frankie goes around memorizing all the different faces, all their mouths, eyes, noses, all that. goes around memorizing them all on the memory wall. I'm sure everyone did, but they just showed Frankie doing it.
Well, they were all around when he did it.
Yeah. I'm sure they just took turns, but they just edited it to make it look like Frankie was really going for it. Another piece of news is that Team America is over, but it's not really, because if the winner of this season of Big Brother is from Team America, so if it was Derek or Frankie, they get an extra $50,000.
Only the winner.
Only the winner. Right. So if Derek does end up winning, he's got to be pushing 600,000.
Yeah, he's close to 6K.
Because what, he's got 500 for winning, 50 for this, the 20 from Team America,
20 or 25, yeah.
and then the 5,000 Hollas. So
oh, true, I forgot about that.
That's like 680 or 580 right there. So wow. On to the veto competition. It's the same thing, the freak show competition, but it's a new set of mashed up house guests. And in this one, the first player to go sets the time. If the next person doesn't beat that time, they're just eliminated. And once you've gone, you can go watch the others from the HOH room. So Cody sets it at 2:21. He's the first person to go. And no one can beat it.
He crushed that competition.
Absolutely. Derek seemed close again. He had his answers. He was heading back to the button when the buzzer rang. If he was right, he would have lost by like 3 seconds again. But his fellow hitman won. Didn't really matter. But Derek thought that Frankie was the one to set that beastly time. No surprise, Cody doesn't use the veto. Frankie tries to get Cody to use it, but that obviously doesn't happen. Frankie uses the rationale that if he stays, he's going to be going after Caleb, but still, it's not going to change anyone's mind. He's evicted 2-0 unanimously, and his speeches on the way out, like when he was walking out, were actually pretty funny. He says, "Victoria, I hope you actually win something. Caleb, I've been the king of the house this whole summer. Derek is the only responsible adult. Don't kill the fish. And Cody, I've had better." What did you think of those speeches?
I don't know. I think it was just Frankie's way to get the attention again before he left the house.
Frankie being Frankie.
Yeah.
And then when he's sitting down with Julie, he says he doesn't regret taking a shot at one of the guys because he didn't want to compromise himself as a person.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Biggest hypocrite.
Considering his behavior all summer, from the live feeds at least.
Yeah, and the episode next week, Wednesday's episode, pretty much started off like with them discussing what to do with Frankie's vote, the Frankie Victoria vote, and Frankie he's so full of himself. He's just this egomaniac, and I was glad that they finally started to show like this is actually the real Frankie and not this like bubbly guy that always shows up whenever he's talking to Julie Chen. Because this like asshole that we've seen, like this is the guy that's been on the live feeds and just making fun of everybody the whole summer, and not how they've been portraying him.
Yeah, and a few hours before the eviction happened, it was in Wednesday's episode. We got a flashback to it, but we might as well talk about it now. Frankie asked Derek if he was good, if he was staying, and Derek just said no because he didn't want to lie to him anymore. And then there's a meeting in the HOH room between those guys, all of them, everyone except Victoria, and they tell him he's leaving. But Frankie says, "You guys realize that by voting me out, I'm the most convincing speaker in the house, and you're going to be reconnecting me with my followers," which I didn't really understand.
Yeah, because apparently you're cut off from the outside world, so there's no way that he would have been able to do that.
Yeah, and then he says, "You're reconnecting me with the jury, and I'm gonna be the one who decides who wins this game." And the other guys are just having absolutely none of it. They're like, "No, Frankie, you're not. You're leaving now. You're not gonna control everyone."
Yeah.
So that was pretty hilarious that they just shot him down like that. So yeah, Frankie's gone. See you later. So the new HOH challenge is the classic. It's in like the merry-go-round style, divided into 3 wedges. And first event is named, then a second event is named. You have to say if the second event happened before or after the first event. So Cody originally, it's 7 questions. Cody was perfect through 6, and blew it on the last one. Derek tied it up. Of course, Victoria wasn't a factor. And Derek and Cody go to a tiebreak, and Derek wins it. So now with this, he's officially never had to sit on the block.
Yeah.
Because in Final 3, there is really no block.
Well, I don't know how technical that is. But I'm just thinking back to... Oh, sorry, this is after. I'll talk about it after. Moving along.
Okay, moving along. Derek's HOH room, the Hollas are still going. I guess they haven't reached 5,000 yet. And he gets a couple Hollas from his wife and daughter. Everyone thought that was awesome. I thought it was awesome. But I don't know. It's sort of like, why does he get to hear from his family again, you know?
But he's the one who won the Hollas, right?
I guess. Still, like that, they'll give him energy for the home stretch.
I don't know. I know I've said it before, but this is sort of harmless to me. I mean, again, like when this past luxury jury competition, I was really worried about when they said like, oh, the jury's coming back to the house on Sunday. But it was a lighter moment. It didn't have any effect on the game itself, and yeah, it was fun to see and good for Derek too.
What if the winner of the luxury comp came back in the game?
No, I would have turned off the TV
and it was almost Nicole again. Almost Nicole.
Nicole is beasting in that competition.
So everyone goes up to Derek's room, and Derek, one at a time, talks to them and reassures every single person that they're his final 2 deal. And no one, of course, like cross-checks their information.
How many people are left before you make a final 2 deal with everybody?
5?
5. I'd say 5.
It's gotta be. Can't be more than that. You'll get caught. Maybe Derek wouldn't, but probably had a final 2 deal with Joey too. Who knows? So he talks to his hitman Cody, his tightest alliance, or so we think, and straight up asks him, Cody, do you want to go up? Because really the nominations don't mean anything. It's all about the veto. But Cody doesn't want to go up as an original nomination. So now Derek's new mission is to get Caleb to volunteer to go on the block once again. And yeah, it happens. Caleb, after listening to Derek for a second, actually says he doesn't mind to go up. So another time, Caleb has volunteered to go on the block. Victoria and Beast Mode are the nominations. And after the ceremony, Caleb goes into the diary room and says how badly he wants to win veto so he can be the one to knock Victoria out.
He's still gung-ho on Final 3, which brings us to the veto competition. And just the question after, I mean, well, Cody ends up winning the veto. He's fired up. It was the memory competition where it's sort of a puzzle and you have to fit the right faces for the right competitions and events in the house. So I'm thinking that the big key here is memorizing the names of past competitions. Because I saw one, I think it was called Giddy Up. I vaguely remembered something about a horse and Hayden, but that's all I remembered about the competition. I didn't remember anything else about it or who won it or what type of competition it was.
Jeez, come on, Mitch. Get those names in your
I know, I can like put up puzzle pieces in front of me, I can figure it out. But throw in these other, like, what day was this and what competition name was this, and then it gets tricky.
Are you allowed, do you know, a question I've been asked is, are you allowed to take, like, a diary?
No, you can't have
take anything.
No pens or paper in the Big Brother house, except for the Bible.
But no pen.
No pen.
Make some code with the Bible to, like, remember days or something. Because, yeah, remembering days
Match
is
it up
huge.
with the scripture.
So yes, Derek threw the competition. Cody wins it, and Caleb still thinks he's safe going into the eviction. And Cody and Derek originally play along, which actually brings us to a pretty funny Caleb compilation about how great of a player he's been all season, and he can't wait to get to the outside so that he can see what's waiting for him. Is it going to be a movie deal, record deal, modeling contract? And thinks if he writes a book, it's automatically going to be a bestseller.
What about Judo Academy?
Judo Academy, who knows? But that was a pretty funny Caleb compilation. On to the eviction. Cody's giving his speech. It doesn't sound like Caleb knows. And then Cody stands up and announces the Hitman Alliance. I thought it was pretty cool. Good time to do it, I guess. And it doesn't really sound like Caleb's going to be that bitter of a juror. Says he's more disappointed in Derek because he was closer with him than Cody. And also says he doesn't regret voting Frankie out, even though they probably should have stuck together to take out Derek and Cody.
Yeah, I think if Caleb had ended up winning the veto and Cody was on the block against Victoria, I think he still would have voted out
I
Victoria.
think so too.
Which is funny, but I mean, it just shows, I guess, the kind of guy he is. But it would have been, imagine that final three. You got these three Titans, Caleb, Cody, and Derek battling it out.
Who wins that? I still think Derek wins it. It would be Cody and Caleb in the endurance, but I still think Derek wins it.
I don't know. I mean, in the end, it's like now with the final three we have, I don't think it really matters who wins it because Derek's going to be there in the end.
I don't know. Cody could cut him. We'll see.
I don't know. Derek would cut Cody, but Cody wouldn't cut Derek.
Yeah, that's true. So let's move on to our, I guess, will this be our, second last surprises and disappointments segment. So who or what are your surprises from the week?
I'll combine it, I guess, to sort of Frankie's exit. Again, it was a pleasant surprise, I guess. Not in the sense that he was evicted, but in the sense that they showed the kind of guy he is. My surprise is the jury competition. I didn't think I would like it, but I actually did. I really enjoyed it. It was sort of just a fun and harmless thing, and it was refreshing, and it didn't have any aspect on what was happening in the rest of the house.
I wonder how long that took to clean up.
Oh, man. They should have done like one of those time-lapse things, them cleaning up the whole house.
They should have. My surprises are, one, the haul is from Derek's family. I know you're fine with it.
I'm not fine with it, but I don't know. I think at this point, I know what's going to happen in the game, so I don't really care
expect
that much.
The unexpected. You can never be too comfortable.
This is pretty expected.
You can never be too comfortable in Big Brother. So that's my first surprise. And second was the reveal of the Hitman Alliance. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. And I was very surprised they did it now and not maybe in the final three or final two. Because it was Dan and Memphis did their red bandana thing at final three when they kicked out Jerry, I'm pretty sure. That was pretty epic. So maybe I would have wished they kept onto it one more week, but really if Victoria's the victim of it, I don't think she would have really understood. So good that they did it on Caleb. Disappointments.
I don't know, that we're winding down this Big Brother season. It's so sad. No, that like I don't know, Caleb's out. I actually really grew to like him. He was a pretty funny guy, but in the end, obviously numbers dictate only can be one winner, right? So Caleb's gone.
My disappointments are, firstly and most importantly, Frankie's character. We knew the kind of guy that he was we've known for a while now, from what we've seen on live feeds, what we've heard. But we finally got a glimpse of it on the actual cameras, and it really wasn't pretty. So we'll see what he's like in the jury house, I guess. And my second disappointment is that Victoria didn't win HOH. I would have loved to see her ego blow up with the power she had. I think it would have been hilarious. So those are my two disappointments.
Let's play out the scenario. Victoria wins Final Four HOH. She puts up Caleb and Cody.
Yeah.
Okay. Victoria wins veto. She won't, but she'll keep it the same. Derek, I don't think would want to win the veto, but Derek would have the vote. I think Caleb,
if Derek won veto, he couldn't do anything. He'd have to leave them.
That's true. Sorry. So, unless Caleb won veto and Derek was on the block, Caleb would probably vote out Cody because he would have that final two with Derek.
Yeah.
Derek would vote out Caleb.
Yeah.
So either way, not much would have changed. A final five, I think, would have been more interesting. Or just make more Victoria HOH reigns.
Honestly, though, how much does it sort of suck to win the final five HOH? You don't get to play in the final four, so you're just like a sitting duck. And then winning the final four, you get to compete in the final three.
That's why vetoes matter more in the end, even throughout the house, vetoes matter more every week. Obviously, when the numbers are less, you can play. You're sort of guaranteed to play, so to guarantee your safety. But when it gets down to final six, final five, final four, the veto is really the competition that counts.
Definitely. So let's do our second last point recap of the season.
So this is the week where I am officially uh, succeeding, conceding.
There you go. Yeah.
the race. I mathematically eliminated. Michael wins.
Yes.
Right now he's at 228 to 188. That's 40 points.
Nice math.
Thank you. So I needed Victoria and Caleb together to win competitions and get to final two as a pair. Obviously, they didn't do that. Depends what final two is, but right now, Frankie has 80, still the most. Caleb leaves with 63. Cody has 64. Derek has 66. But after that, after like the finals, Derek will have close to 100 points, if not more. Cody might as well. And there we go.
It was good. It was close.
If we didn't count that rewind week, then I would have only been down 10 or so. And if like that would have been a lot closer. And then if Caleb if they ended up evicting if Caleb made a big move and put like Cody and Frankie Alpha or something, if they did everything a week earlier than what happened, then I might still be in it, but I'm not.
All right, let's do predictions. This is going to be the last prediction segment, I guess, because there's not going to be anything after the finale. So, final HOH, who do you have winning each leg, and who do you have winning the final HOH overall?
So the first leg has all three, and it's endurance.
Yes.
And then second leg is trivia. Not trivia.
It's more like remember.
Memory, yeah. And it's the two people who lost.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final HOH is the two winners. Okay. So endurance, I think Victoria's going to be eliminated, and then I think Cody and Derek are going to make some sort of like verbal deal.
Yeah.
And then they'll win the second leg, and then it'll be Cody and Derek in the finals. If Derek makes it to if he's the final HOH, I could see him pulling a Big John from Big Brother Canada and taking out Cody and going to the end with Victoria. If Cody wins, I think he's going to take Derek to the finals, and Victoria would take Derek. And Derek's winning.
Derek's winning?
Yeah.
What about America's favorite juror?
Donnie.
Okay.
Maybe Derek, but Donnie.
Derek. But he's... Okay. Because you can only win America's player if you're a juror, right? Like, you can't. Or can you get it for...
Donnie is a juror anyway.
Yeah, but like Derek couldn't win that too, could he?
He might be able to.
Then he'd be over 600,000. That would be insane.
How much do you get? $5,000?
No, 25.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Donnie's gonna win America's Player though.
My final HOH endurance leg winner is gonna be Cody, but you just sort of piqued my interest there when you said making a verbal deal. Do you think Derek could get Cody to throw the first leg after Victoria drops? Because he could say, because the second one is usually sort of something like that memory.
Cody just won that veto.
Derek could be like, you're stronger at that than I am. You can take her out.
Derek has Cody in his back pocket. He can do whatever he wants.
So I'm still going to go with Cody. I think Derek will win the second one, and then the third one's always like, how well do you know the jurors? And I think...
that's true.
I think Derek's going to take that too. So my final two, I think we're going to see an all hitmen final two, and just like the Renegades.
It really is, though. One guy did all the work, and then was the sort of cerebral undercover assassin. We have Dan and Derek, and then we have the muscle who was brought along, Memphis and Cody.
I agree. Derek's going to win, and I also think Donnie's taking home America's favorite player.
Do you think Derek wins unanimously?
If he's against Cody, no. I think Christine votes Cody.
Okay, that's fair.
If he's against... I If he's against Victoria, he has to win. Otherwise, the show's broken. Who would vote for Victoria?
Frankie said he would.
That's true. Frankie did say if Victoria makes final two, he's voting Victoria, and we all know Frankie is the person who's going to decide the winner of the game. So there we go. If he takes Victoria, Derek is losing.
He's the swing vote.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for us here at the B2M2 podcast. We'll be back next week for the final installment of the show. It's been fun. I'm Michael Hoad. He's Mitchell Machtinger. We'll talk to you guys next time.